Welcome to Streams of Income with self-help author Ryan Rieger. For the next hour, you'll hear proven methods for how to live the multiple income streams dream. Ryan is passionate about helping others discover their gifts and start their own business. He's published 5 books, and his courses and group coaching programs have changed the lives of thousands of students all over the world. Ryan's books include Private Label, The Easy Way, Finding Your Grace Place, and his latest, Streams of Income. And now, here's your host, Ryan Rieger.
Hey guys, welcome back to the Streams of Income radio show. I'm your host, Ryan Rieger, and you do not want to miss today's episode. I'm chatting with my friend, Erik Olson, who is the president of Dignity Coconuts. Erik had his first business at the age of 18, a painting company, and allowed him to pay his way through business school debt-free. He's done humanitarian work all over the world, and in 2012, he joined Dignity Coconuts to launch their very first product, which is raw coconut oil. And they're doing some really, really cool things. They're transforming communities and providing jobs for people in the Philippines with coconuts. And it's an awesome product. He's got an awesome story. If you have a heart to do something with your business that is helping people at the same time, you feel God's direction that way, you're going to want to listen to this episode. And even if you don't, you're going to love his story of how Dignity Coconuts is transforming communities, getting people out of poverty, and doing some really neat things. So here's my interview with Erik. Erik, welcome to Streams of Income Radio. Appreciate you being on with me.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
This is going to be fun. I'm really looking forward to sharing your story with my audience. I just got to know you just recently. And so this is going to be fun to share what you guys do. So tell me about the Dignity Coconut story, how you guys got started and all of that.
Yeah, so our business started in a very different place than most businesses. Ours came out of a conviction that we wanted to stop sex trafficking in this part of Asia. And we had seen sex trafficking just happen so much, and we had really fought against it kind of on a nonprofit level. Mm-hmm. But more and more as we were fighting against this large evil giant, we just started realizing we needed to do more than just these kind of nonprofits efforts that we were doing. And the statistic that really got us was 80% of the women that are pulled out of sex trafficking end up back in that terrible industry again.
Wow.
And the big reason is because they don't have a job. It's the reason they're often trafficked in the first place. Mm-hmm. And it's often the reason that they get sucked back into it or sold back into it.
Wow. So you saw that need and thought, how can we help, essentially? And that's how it was born?
Yeah, we thought we've got to do more. And, we had a few other people kind of in this nonprofit space that were saying, hey, let's create jobs and to solve this. But at best, we were seeing people, make purses or jewelry or handicrafts and just selling them in the back of a church. And we thought this just isn't scalable.
Right.
This morning, over 30 million women and children woke up without the ability to choose what they'll do or who touches their body.
Oh my gosh.
And that we kept just comparing that to seeing a dozen or 2 dozen women making these things and thought, this isn't making a dent even. Now, to back up, we celebrate one woman getting out. It's all worth it for just one woman, but still, just on a business level, we thought there's got to be a way to figure out how to make this scalable so we can really make an impact.
Yes. Wow. I saw that video. I was on your site earlier today, kind of just poking around, and saw a video where you guys went to, and you guys are in the Philippines, that your company is, and it's Dignity Coconuts. You guys went there and it wasn't like, hey, we're the smart business people, we're going to tell you how it's done. You guys came there and said, how can we help you? What's natural? You basically asked for their input and advice to make this come about, didn't you?
Yeah. As Americans, we love telling people what to do. Whenever we see a problem, it's like we have ideas of how to solve it, before we ask any questions. I mean, I know that's, the case with me. still even, that's probably my biggest problem in our marriage right now is, my wife has a problem and, oh man, I got a solution before you can finish your sentence. But, but I think, over the years of kind of working with the poor, what we just realized is over and over again, when we came, when we saw a problem and we just thought, oh, I got this solution, and we kind of often came with these cookie cutter solutions, things that oftentimes it didn't give us the desired result. And oftentimes it wasn't sustainable, or it created dependency, or there were just pieces that we were missing. We had blind spots, or there were parts of the culture, or there were reasons why that they were stuck, or this was happening, or that we didn't realize because we didn't dig down deeper. And we didn't realize there was a systemic problem that was kind of keeping them in poverty. Like, for example, we were talking with this coconut farmer in the Philippines, and we'd asked him, we were talking about coconut pricing and things like that. And at the end, we just happened to say, hey, tell me, what are your biggest hopes and dreams for your life? And we thought he would talk about education for his children, or building a home that could withstand a typhoon, because these nipa huts get toppled over all the time. And he said to us, my biggest hope in life is that my children will not inherit my debt.
Oh my gosh! Wow.
And that put us on this journey of realizing, what's this current coconut industry like? And really, one, it's a monopoly, and so they have corrupt pricing that keeps these farmers in poverty. And two, they offer these predatory loans to the farmers that keep them in cycles of debt, and they can just never get out. And so there's really this exploitation that's happening to coconut farmers that was really the below the surface. That and we needed to address that. So we started asking, how can we help these farmers who are really trapped in the system that's working against them? And that's where we came up with this idea of, what if we connect the farmers to the end consumer directly, and leave them out of this whole series of monopoly middlemen that are really exploiting them.
Wow. Did any of you in your company have any coconut farming experience or coconut oil production experience?
No, none of us.
Wow.
At one point we had a guy that had some agriculture experience, but we were learning all of this from scratch.
Wow. Oh my gosh. That sounds like a gargantuan effort. That would be like, for me, it sounds like that would just be a miracle for that to take off if I was in charge of that. Like, okay, plant me in the Philippines. I know you're back home in Minnesota now, but put me in the Philippines and say, okay, you got all these trees and you got to figure out how to make coconut oil from this. Like, oh Lord, I'm in trouble.
Yeah, I would say Google's been our best teacher.
Wow, man. So how many people do you guys employ?
We have 121 workers at our facility and 153 farmer families that we contract with.
So tell me about some of the families that you guys are able to touch, because this doesn't just touch just those 153 farmer families and all your employees. This goes throughout that whole community because of the wealth that you're able to create there, right?
Yeah,
you got to buy jars from somewhere, and just all the other you've got to pay electricity. And so
it's really been amazing to see how this community has really changed. We're only employing a fraction of the area, but it's had a big residual impact on the rest of the community. And in one way is it's a lot of other small businesses have popped up, and this one was kind of surprising. We thought, hey, with every person we're employing, it's going to help that whole family. The whole family unit is going to get better. So it's exciting to see families that they've gone from a nipa hut to a cinder block home, or they went from dirt floors to now having concrete floors. All of that's really exciting to see this kind of development on a family to family basis. Or sorry to keep adding to it, putting their kids into school. The education through high school in this area is is free, but they have to pay for their uniforms and their supplies. And for many families, they can't even afford that. So seeing that happen where their kids can go to school, they can pay for the fees, and exciting, we're now seeing families send their kids to college in an area where less than 1% are able to have any kind of post-high school education.
Wow.
Whether that's, trade school or one college class at a community college or something like that. Now to see so many people sending their kids to college is really exciting. But back to your question, so on a family level, it's exciting, but then to see the community really see some change is exciting. We saw a health clinic pop up for the first time. It's just 30 minutes away from our plant. We saw a restaurant popped up right across our facility because the guy saw a business opportunity because all of our workers left for lunch and went home. Right. So, he started his own little business.
Smart.
And then, there was a guy, a couple doors down from our plant that he saw us traveling an hour and a half to go get construction materials. And so he started his own little, construction materials company. And we started buying from him because it was convenient.
Absolutely.
And, so we've seen a few dozen of these businesses kind of pop up in the area because there's economic development happening.
Yes.
Just to paint a picture for you, we are in the poorest region of the Philippines, and the Philippines is still a pretty developing country. And the location, the city we're in, is really in the middle of the jungle. It's on the coast. We're about 200 yards away from the ocean.
I bet it's gorgeous.
It is. It's very gorgeous. It looks like it's something.
Doesn't look like Minnesota.
Yeah, but in terms of the logistics and things, it's been really hard. When we first decided to put our plant there, it was dirt roads. And you had to forge 7 rivers. And so you can imagine, if you're living in that area and you break your leg and you're told, okay, you're going to get on the back of this motorbike and, we're going to drive on this bumpy dirt road. We're going to forge 7 rivers, and hopefully in 4 hours, we'll get you to the hospital. You're probably going to think, you know what, I'll just take my chances.
Exactly.
And so to see now we have, we convinced the governor to pave 56 kilometers of, reinforced concrete roads, 2-lane highway, to see these like the clinic pop up, to see these businesses pop up, to see buses and transportation where people didn't have access to transportation. All this has been really exciting for the community.
Wow. That's amazing. Really, really cool. So anybody, is there any stories? I know that I saw on your website, you guys sign each of the jars. I mean, not you, but your employees do, which is really, really cool. Do you have any stories that you're at liberty to share about any certain person that's there, what this has saved them from, or just a testimonial from one of your employees that's really neat that you like to share?
Yeah. So this is our product. If you're on video, you can see it. This is our product. And this one was signed by Connie. I know Connie, but I'll tell you a couple stories. Yeah, so let me tell you about Arnold. He's our electrical engineer, and he went through our training on personal finance, savings, good versus bad loans, and so he started getting this idea of not only am I an employee, but what if I started saving and start a small store with my wife? So they started, and they just had a few items. I mean, think, really small store. And, but every week they just put aside a portion of their money and put it into merchandise. It grew so much that just this last year, he was able to buy a minivan, used, but a minivan, so that he could transport goods from the bigger city to his store. And that's just exciting, especially because I think the greatest evil of poverty is the loss of hope. I think for us Americans, it's kind of hard to think this way because we think of poverty in terms of things and material possessions and what you don't have. But really, when you ask people in poverty to describe poverty, they use words that we wouldn't think of, like the loss of hope, shame, and And so I think for guys like Arnold to dream again, that, oh wow, like my life could be very different than it is for me and for my family and me, is pretty exciting. I'll tell you another story. Angeline, she's one of our workers on the production line. She makes our virgin coconut oil. She helped us do what we call a baseline survey, because a lot of nonprofit organizations, everybody kind of has their poster child of stories of, people that have that have a changed life. But we wanted to know, really statistically, like, are we making an impact, or do we just have a couple anecdotal stories that sound good?
Right.
And so we did this baseline survey, and then after that survey, when we kind of found out some of the real core issues and needs in the community, we started developing this team of people that we called community health education, where they would go out and do some education on different items, like health, diet, hygiene, some simple things like that, and really help the community understand things. So we asked her, to get involved in some of these things, and she came back and she was just beaming at some of the impact that we've had on our community. And one day she wrote us this handwritten note. She said, my life is so bright. My child can now go to high school. I have new hope for my family. I no longer fight with my husband. I'm no longer addicted to gambling. I have confidence. I'm always smiling now and helping others. I can't fully explain the overflowing joy that's happening in my life right now.
Wow.
Not just for me, but the whole community. And she said, thanks for giving us dignity.
Oh my goodness.
Is exactly why we named our company that. Because we feel like, we're not giving handouts. We're really coming alongside people as they work themselves out of poverty. And that is, in the process, that really gives people dignity that they did it. They were the hero of their story.
Yes. Wow. What would these folks like Arnold and you said Josephine? Angeline, what would they be doing if Dignity Coconuts wasn't there? What kind of jobs do these people do, or are they just like, tell me some of what you've allowed them to not have to be a part of? Obviously, you talk about sex trafficking, that's a big thing. But like, if folks that aren't in that, what are dads, like you and I, what are they doing in that area of Philippines that aren't working at Dignity Coconuts, or if you had never even gotten there?
Yeah, most are living hand to mouth, and so they're coconut farmers. They might be rice farmers, or they're fishermen. But even that, it's usually not enough to live on. And so a lot of times what happens is they get contracts to work in faraway places. So they'll, either hundreds of miles away in the Philippines, or they'll get contracts to work in other places, often the Arabian Peninsula. And really, when we'd been involved in this area for a while, our co-founder especially built an orphanage, a high school, thinking that really education was the key to helping this whole community out of poverty. And as these graduates were coming out of this with a great education, we started, at best, they were getting a job in another country or something like that. Wow. But at worst, oftentimes they were exploited, abused in the process of looking for a job, or at worst, getting caught in sex trafficking in a desperate search for a job. Yeah, that was part of our beginnings, and we wanted to change that.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. You and I, on our last call, we talked about the overseas foreign workers. One of my VAs who didn't see her dad for only except for 3 times in 18 years. So she's one of those that would have been affected, or was affected by, just the fact that he did not have economic opportunity where he lived. So he had to go, I think it was either Saudi Arabia or United Arab Emirates to work. So yeah, you're right. That's amazing what you guys are doing there. Incredible. So I was on your website too, just looking around at the coconut. So it's 100. Just tell me about your product, because obviously, your story is amazing. Yeah. And people are going to get excited about, being able to send dollars. Everybody buys coconut oil. Might as well buy it from you guys because of what your story of it. But it's not just any old coconut oil, is it?
No. So we looked at how coconut oil is made, and actually we were looking at buying a plant that already made coconut oil. And the more and more we looked into, okay, how do you actually do it? What's the machinery that's involved? We started thinking, this can't be the best way. Almost everybody uses high heat in the process of making their coconut oil because it separates that milk from the oil. And we started saying, is there a better way? We looked at the olive oil industry and found that in the olive oil industry, the best olive oil uses what's called a centrifuge. So they use G-force to separate kind of the different particles. And we tried it on the coconut cream and we were amazed. It tasted better. It didn't have that strong burnt flavor that a lot of the coconut oil has. It was smoother on the skin. So for people that use it on their skin or hair, it was just smoother and nicer. It didn't have the strong smell to it. But then also it's because we don't use any heat, it's packed with way more nutrients than the stuff that's been kind of boiled to death.
Sure.
And so it's more nutrient dense. And so that's, we found we were able to create a better coconut oil that it's not really on the market. Yeah.
So what's left? Tell me about the coconuts themselves. We eat a lot of coconuts here, not the actual raw product, but like we use a lot of coconut oil, a lot of coconut milk and coconut cream when we make smoothies. What's the difference between when you make coconut oil, is there what's left of the actual coconut? And I also saw that you guys use all of it. Like you're able to even take the husks and use those as like peat for soil. And so like nothing goes to waste.
Yeah, we wanted to find a use for each of the products and really add more and more value, especially for these coconut farmers. We wanted to utilize all parts of the coconut. So yeah, we have the coconut oil, and then of course the coconut water, which is kind of your natural Gatorade. You have the coconut milk, which is this dairy-free alternative. A lot of people, I've become lactose intolerant myself in the last couple of years. And 2 of my kids are lactose intolerant. So more and more people are kind of turning dairy-free, voluntarily or involuntary. And then, that shell of the coconut, we figured out if we grind that up into a powder, you can use it in renewable plastics. And we discovered with a partnership we had with Texas A&M that you can use it in 3D printing ink.
No way.
To make, I think it's called filament. 3D printing filament. It makes it stronger and lighter. So exciting uses. Of course, that coconut shell is really, really solid, and so it's quite amazing that it has some good properties. It increases the tensile strength, and then we take the outer husk, and that can be used to make erosion control blankets. As well as a great soil conditioner. If you go to Home Depot or Lowe's, you'll see these blocks of cocoa peat. And, it's a great soil conditioner.
Wow.
Or if you look in Scott's soil conditioner blend, one of the many things that you'll find, in the palm of your hand is cocoa peat because it absorbs 10 times its weight in water.
Wow. So when you guys make coconut oil, is anything, and I don't know this process because I'm not in the production of coconut. So forgive me, this is a dumb question, but when you make the coconut oil, can you still make coconut? Is there anything left for coconut milk or coconut cream, or is that a whole different product that is like you'd have to choose one or the other?
No, you can use all these different products. You don't have to choose between them.
Interesting. What do you guys do with the coconut milk and the coconut cream that's left after that? Are you able to sell that locally, or your workers back there eating coconut cream, making smoothies?
Yeah, we're still developing the production lines for those. So right now our employees are enjoying it.
That's awesome. I'm going to go to Philip. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, we'll give you a gallon jug. You can drink as much as you want. But for people who are, a lot of the coconut water, if you're into coconut water, that water, especially the really sweet kind, comes from younger coconuts. These are coconuts that are like 9 months old versus the coconuts we use are around 10 or 11 months old. And that you do have to make a choice if you're going to use the young coconuts. It is hard because if you use the water, nothing else is usable. The shell's useless.
Got it.
The meat is useless. You can't make cream out of it. You can't make anything out of it. And so a lot of people have asked us, hey, why don't you sell this young coconut water? It's sweeter. To which we say, our value for the earth, just says it's just not, we don't want to do that.
Yeah.
So our coconut water doesn't taste as good, and we're okay with that. And, we may, even though I'm kind of against the idea, we may have to add sweeteners or things like that to it to have it be a bit more palatable. But that's the one big choice that a lot of coconut companies have to make.
Yeah. Interesting. Well, you guys are selling the oil and doing really well at that. You're in 1,200 stores.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
It's been a hustle. We kind of thought, hey, if we make this really uniquely better product and have this authentic, like it's a real story, like we're really making a big impact. This isn't just, some of our competitors will talk about, things that they're doing, and it's like, oh, give me a break. We've been by your plant. We know your employees. We know how much you pay your farmers. Like, come on. But,
right.
We just kind of thought if we make a really fantastic product and have an authentic story of really doing good in the world, that, people just be knocking on our doors to tell our story on social media or in the media, or to take, get our product into different stores. And I think we're just naive. It's every single store that we're in, it's because we hustled.
Wow.
And it's because we really worked hard to get in these stores. And a lot of these buyers, they just want to know, are you going to make me profit? Which that's understandable. That's where a lot of people are in their business journey. It's just about the one bottom line.
Absolutely.
So it's been hard.
Yeah, I see. I'm looking at your jar right now online, and I want to read this side of it, because that would be something that would set you apart. If I'm in a store, let's say I'm in Walmart, and I see, just the regular, what's the brand that I don't even know. We don't buy our coconut oil from Walmart, but you might see two different kinds. Yours says freedom from injustice. Your jar is really cool, but has lots of things on it. But one of them, it says, after years of nonprofit work in Southeast Asia, we were outraged by systems of injustice that trap families in poverty and sex trafficking. We partner with locals to create a way out. Our holistic approach provides jobs, education, clean water, and direct trade. Enjoying this jar of coconut oil offers families freedom from injustice and restores their hope with dignity. So as long as somebody picks it up and looks at that, that's going to catch some eyes, isn't it?
Yeah, we hope so.
That's really good. Real quick, I didn't ask you about going this route. I want to ask you a quick question about, because I have a lot of people in my community that have private label products, and they would love to be in 1,200 stores. Obviously, it's a hustle. Can you give any insight or advice, quick tips of how does somebody even approach a retail store if they have a product that they want to get in there?
Yeah, I think one of the big things is how do you get noticed? And so you really kind of have to do your research on who is the buyer. In retail, what often happens is the buyer actually changes every few years, and that's kind of on purpose, because you don't want a buyer to have kind of this like insider trading, with certain products where they get a kickback or just because they like that vendor or something like that. And so they on purpose, they'll switch buyers, through over the course of a few years. And so you kind of have to figure out who is the buyer for my category. Our category is oils, and sometimes it's like we're mixed in with dressings or other enhancers. And so figure out who is the current buyer, what are they looking for? And then also, just doing your homework on, go to the stores and see what do they have on the shelf. Go to a few stores, because not every store has the same, what's called a planogram. It's not the same set of products at each one. Some of the bigger stores or more affluent stores will have different selections. So you need to kind of do your research to see, hey, what are they currently stocking, and to see where's my fit, what's my play here. What's my ask going to be? Am I asking, hey, I think this product that you have, this brand that you're selling, they're underperforming and we can beat it. And so take them off the shelf and put me on. because that's usually the case. If they're going to put you on the shelf, usually, unless you're in a growing category, they're taking somebody else off, and they're crushing somebody else's dreams.
Are you giving, are you able, when you're going to them, are you saying take off XYZ companies because they're underperforming, or you let them make that decision, or you kind of nudging them toward a certain route?
It depends on the buyer.
Sure.
Usually we're kind of talking about our product and talking about how we're positioned uniquely.
Yeah.
But I definitely want to be clear that these other brands and where they stand, and in some cases I will say, I think you'll do better having ours than this other brand here or there.
Yeah, that's awesome. But you said, just a lot of hustle. 1,200 stores. That's crazy. Once I bet it helps. Like once you get one inked and get one contract, and you can go to the next one and say, hey, we're in this store here. And that probably, I would imagine, elevates your status in the buyer's mind that, oh, this other store picked you up. So it makes it easier on them because you're not that first one's probably the hardest, I would imagine.
Yeah, that was, we were in a few small mom and pop stores. Of course, we had an online store and Amazon, but then when we were getting more and more into brick and mortar, it was a pretty miraculous meeting that we got with Meijer here in the Midwest area. And when they took us on, that really kind of gave us brand validation.
Yes.
That when we went to these other stores, they said, well, you guys are really small potatoes, where else are you in? And we'd say, oh, we're in Meijer. And they'd say, oh, okay.
Wait a second. Yeah.
You must have your stuff together. So
yes.
So that definitely helped us. And I'd give that as good advice to others to get kind of an anchor store that really validates your brand. So, Costco or a major chain that's really respectable in the food industry.
Have you been in Costco before? I know they change their inventory all the time.
But yeah, we'd like to.
Yeah.
We haven't approached them yet, but yeah, we're going to.
You'd have to sell your gallon jars there because they wouldn't probably take the 15 ounce one, or it'd be a multi-pack of 4 15 ounce.
Right.
I saw an interview one time from the guy who founded Costco, and he said, do you know why we don't sell one jar of aspirin? It's because people would buy it. So that's why you have to get 2,
Yeah, totally.
Oh my gosh. Well, we go through a lot of coconut oil. So I know you're sending me one, but I might end up buying the gallon because that's how much we use it to cook all the time. That's pretty much all we use is coconut oil.
Yeah. Both my kids are black, and we are surprised. We were trying to learn, like, what do you do with black hair?
Right.
And black skin? How do you take care of it properly? And we're watching these YouTube videos of people saying, now there's a thing called coconut oil, and it is the best for hair and skin, just head to toe. Just do your kids in coconut oil. And my wife and I were like, no way, we have a coconut oil company.
Very, very cool. And I imagine because yours is better, it also is better for you applying to your skin and hair than other products as well.
Yeah, it does have better absorption because it's raw. It hasn't lost a lot of those benefits. But just real quickly, if you don't know about coconut oil on skin, it does have an SPF value of, I think it's at 4, so it's not a lot. But if you keep reapplying it, it is helpful against the sun. And then it's also an antimicrobial too. And so for a while, actually, remember when hand sanitizer was out of stock at stores, we had a bunch of people that they were using coconut oil. It didn't protect 100%, but it is an antimicrobial, and it also helps with like wounds, healing wounds. There's a lot of companies now that they'll sell you Band-Aids with coconut oil.
Interesting.
On the gauze because it helps the wounds heal faster. So a lot of good benefits topically for coconut oil as well. Funny
story there. My son's 4, and we put hand sanitizer sometimes on him after we go into a store, and he hates it because he always, I don't know why he does this, but he puts his hands in his mouth afterwards. And of course it tastes disgusting. So we could use coconut. I need to tell my wife, let's use coconut oil for Callan, because then he'll put his hands in his mouth and it'll all be good because it tastes good too.
Yeah. And then you're moisturizing his hands at the same time, which that's what most people use the coconut oil for. Right. It topically is as a moisturizer.
Wow. That's cool. Well, I want to ask you one more thing and I'll let you go because I know you're busy. You got a lot of stuff going on there. people in my audience, I have a lot of folks that they're believers, and they want to, they're making money online, but they also want to have an impact too. It's not to them, it's not just about the money. I hear people that want to, it's kind of similar to what you told me in our last call that we had, how they want to make money online so that they can then either quit their job to go full-time in the ministry, or they want to have extra money to give to the ministry. And so sometimes they see their business as that just something that they do for the money, but you guys are making profit and having an impact at the exact same time. Any advice for somebody who's, not going to go into the jungle of the Philippines and start a coconut company, but let's say, we have a smaller Amazon business and we still want to have that same impact? Any advice for those of us in that position?
Yeah, I think, we really, a lot of our convictions really came about because, we really had a heart for the people, and we really prayed a lot about how do we have an impact? And so I think the biggest advice I have is really, is one, kind of listening before acting. I don't know how much of your audience is Americans, but, we tend to want to act right away. And I think the more and more I've learned is that proximity and listening are really key. And so taking the time to really research what's it like for this people. But I think to back up a second, I think there's a lot of ways to think about not just how do I give away a certain amount of my profit and give that away. I think we've really seen the exponential impact when you actually marry together the best that business has to offer in terms of jobs or economic development with, kind of that heart to make an impact. Yeah. And so to think about maybe to think about your supply chain and think about, okay, are there ways that I can really improve those people that are along the supply chain and make an impact on those, because you're already doing business with them. And so how can I make an impact? Where are these sourced from? Can I visit that place? Can I go visit where I'm actually buying from? I mean, not only is that a good business decision, but that's a great way to make an impact. But then also there's other ways, thinking about outsourcing and where are you outsourcing? Oftentimes we think of, well, I just want to outsource and get the cheapest, VA, or I want to get the cheapest, customer service associate or something like that. And instead thinking, okay, is there a way that I can not just outsource this and kind of be out of my hair and the cheapest thing possible, but could I make an impact through this? Yes. Ooh, that's good. Have it be a good business decision, but have it be something where it's actually, I'm going to utilize this customer service agency because I'm going to actually go visit once a year. Yes. And I'm going to empower them, or I'm going to do quarterly or monthly Zoom calls where I just talk about family values, or, how, or I ask them, maybe even do a survey of hey, what are your biggest needs for you, from an HR level, and then think, okay, how can I meet that? Are there ways that I can help in small ways to meet some of those needs? I think those are some good starting places. That's good. Great advice. And lastly, not least though, is how can we get your coconut oil? Obviously your website, dignitycoconuts.com, right? That's the main place you probably want people to go to. Yeah, that one is the best for us. Sign up for, our updates. We send out updates about Angeline and people like that who are getting impact. Yeah. But yeah, so our website is the best place. But if you're tied to Amazon, I can understand. Some of our products aren't Amazon. We're out of stock right now on many of our products because of the typhoons that hit our area. But and then, we are in stores in the Midwest. We're in Meyer, Fruitful Yield, in Texas, where you are. We're in, what's it? Central Market. Awesome. And some other small mom and paws on the East Coast. We're in Giant Food, Stop and Shop, places like that. So wonderful. You can find there's a locator. You can find stores on our website too. Cool. Well, Erik, thank you so much. Guys, go support Dignity Coconuts. Buy their coconut oil.
use it.
Oh, we did just
Eat it.
launch lip balms this year.
Oh, cool.
I'll send you some of those. But yeah, these are chemical-free lip balms. We have 5 different flavors.
Okay.
We figure out how to remove all those nasty toxic chemicals that most lip balms have,
Yes.
and make one that's totally chemical-free.
Love
It is prone to melt a little bit more than the average lip balm. That's because it doesn't have those chemicals, but it is fantastic. And it's so much better for your lips than the average stuff.
And if you're like, what if you're out of coconut oil? Can you take the lip balm and put it in your pan, cook with it?
I wouldn't recommend that, especially with our peppermint lavender flavor.
Why?
That one might not go so well.
Why do my pancakes taste like peppermint lavender?
But to your point, I think the statistic is, like 60% of what you put on your lips end up in your mouth. And so,
yes.
You don't want to be having chemicals, and really you could eat our lip balm and be fine. Or, if your child gets a lip balm and eats the whole thing, you don't have to rush them to the ER.
Exactly. That's awesome. Eric, you're a lot of fun. Thank you for being on with me. Appreciate it. Thank you for everything that you do there. And let me know if there's anything I or our audience can ever do to help you other than buying your products. But thank you for the impact that you're making and for coming on my show. I appreciate it.
You're welcome. It's been fun.
All right. Talk soon.
Bye.
You've been listening to Streams of Income with self-help author Ryan Rieger. From right here in the Dallas Metroplex, Ryan teaches several entrepreneurial courses and group coaching programs to students all over the world. Be sure to listen next week at the same time for Streams of Income with Ryan Rieger.